I see so many articles these days saying, oh, if you're a sumo deadlifter, you're not deadlifting properly, because these articles talk to me. Simon the Butt A-hole here, and I, like a lot of people, are guilty of this, but you go on the internet these days, you read a magazine, and it's all just a bunch of people telling you don't do this in the gym, don't do that in the gym. In fact, even if you think about it, you should be kicked out into the abyss. Now, a lot of that is true. Like, so many people are still sweating over benches, and they just leave their sweat there like anybody else wants to bathe in it. However, there are some other old gym stereotypes that actually you probably should include in your routine, because done the right way, they can help. So yes, this is indeed 8 terrible things you should actually be doing in the gym. Number 8 is sumo deadlifts. Now, I do not understand this debate, I do not understand this argument, and it really depends on what you're training for. If you are trying to be a professional strongman, not even a professional strongman, but a professional Olympic lifter, and you know that you're not entering the sumo deadlift part of the competition, then you probably shouldn't be practicing it. But I think the problem is, especially when you go on a lot of forums and you see people debating this, be it the normal stance or the sumo stance, they're making it out like, yeah, but if you went and did this, you wouldn't be able to do it. Or if you went and did this, you wouldn't be able to do it. They say it with wraps as well. People are like, oh, should I wear wraps or should I not wear wraps? And people are like, oh, no, you can't, because if you did a competition, it's not going to be allowed. You should get the raw lift. And I do understand that, but if you're not training for a competition and you're just trying to improve your physique and you're just trying to get healthier and you're just trying to get in better shape and you prefer doing sumo deadlifts, and when it's time to deadlift, you're more likely to do them if you do the sumo version as opposed to the normal one, here's the big spoiler for the day: just do them. Now, it all comes down to form anyway, right? Some people say, oh no, it's really dangerous to do it this way or to do it that way. As long as you're lifting correctly and you're warmed up and, you know, life doesn't go life, sometimes you just get screwed over, there is nothing wrong about doing any kind of a deadlift. I mean, if you strap your head to it in time to pick it up, then yeah, you're an absolute moron, but that's not a deadlift. I mean, it is, you're still lifting from a dead position, but you shouldn't be using your head to do that because it just doesn't make any sense. But I see so many articles these days saying, oh, if you're a sumo deadlifter, you're not deadlifting properly, because these articles talk to me. And I'm like, well, that's not true. That's not fair. There's a bunch of other variations of exercises that people are advocates for, but for some reason, when it comes to what, in my opinion, is the best lift of all, especially when it comes to, wanting to get better in the gym, because it will work everything, pick whichever one you want, but do not demonize and do not listen to people that are demonizing the sumo deadlift, unless, of course, yes, you're entering a deadlift competition when you're told you ain't allowed to do the sumo one. But if you can't figure that out, I would just go lay down for a while. And number 7 is Smith machine squats. Now, I do not like Smith machine squats. I will be completely honest with you. And once again, it kind of comes down to how people do them. Like, if you are doing a free squat, I think, yeah, load up that bar as much as you humanly want. And as long as you, haven't gone too crazy with it and you're not ego lifting, you should be able to go all the way down at least to 90 degrees and you should be able to come all the way back up. The problem with split squats is people load the bar up the same way and they stick their feet out miles ahead of them, which is not a natural position. And when they come down, they are just crushing their back. And it is so much tension and it's so risky that you're probably going to get injured unless, once again, you are very lucky. However, if you do Smith squats properly, and I bring this up because it happened to me the other day, I wasn't able to get on any of the squat racks because they were all busy. It's annoying, it happens sometimes. And the only thing that was free was a Smith machine. This was going on for ages, and I wanted to start with squats because I didn't want to pre-exhaust anything. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do Smith squats. And what I did was, I kind of took 50% of what I usually lift, and that was my aim, just to begin with. And if I thought I could have lifted a bit more, I would have done. And I made sure I put myself in a position by trial and error, moving my feet around, where when I came down, there was minimal pressure and minimal force on my back, and all of it was coming from my legs because it was legs day, and that's what I was trying to work. Now, there's always going to be some upper body movement in squats because that's just the way it is. But when I got it right, and when I got the weight to a point that it wasn't suffocating me and trying to kill me, I actually thought these are okay. I would never, ever, ever do them over normal squats. But once again, I include myself in this. If somebody had come up to me and said, Simon, should I do Smith machine squats? I'd be like, never. You should never do it. And I'm actually going to, well, go back on that, I suppose. One, definitely do them if you prefer them to doing normal squats. But I think also accept you're probably not going to get the gains you would do otherwise. But also, two, I just think people have to be a bit more intelligent with it. It is not a squat, and I think sometimes we do that. We go, it's got squat in the name, so I'm just going to replicate it verbatim. Don't do that. A free squat is totally different from a Smith machine squat. So if you've never done Smith machine squats before, don't all of a sudden throw the same weight on. Take your time. Start late. Go slowly, and see where you get to. And then when you do nail that form, and you do feel safe, that's when you can put on a 5. That's when you can put on a 10. And again, build up slowly. Don't go crazy. As soon as you go crazy in the gym, people get hurt. And number 6 is a controversial one, but I actually think it's been spun out of reality now, and that's curling in the squat rack. And what that means, if you don't know, is that you do not go and do bicep curls in the squat rack, which ties into the last entry. Now, thankfully, when I wasn't able to use a squat rack, everybody was doing squats. But can you imagine, and of course you can, you go to the gym, you get this totally, if you wanted to squat and somebody was bicep curling in there, where they could take the bar, move back 5 meters, allow you to use the squat rack, and they would still be able to get their set in. People that do this are lazy. But what has happened, at least on an article I read the other day, is everyone is now telling you, if you are going to do bicep curls with a bar, don't use like an Olympic bar. And I'm like, well, I actually don't agree with that at all. Now, I always prefer using the ready-made bars that you get on those triangle things in the gym. However, the other day, once again, couldn't use that, and there was a bar free, did not do it in the squat rack. So I thought, okay, well, I am going to do bicep curls with an Olympic bar, and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was great. Now, obviously, it's going to be heavier than the smaller bars. I think most Olympic bars weigh about 20 kilograms, which is like 44 pounds, or something like that. But it was just the range of motion I was able to get, and the way it really did a number on my biceps. I was like, this is awesome. So do not curl in the squat rack. But if you want to curl with an Olympic bar and you're not taking it away from everybody else, because again, you've got more options than somebody doing something they need a barbell for, I absolutely think you should do this. I thought it was great. It was the best bicep workout I'd had in ages. Now, I'm sure a small part of this was because it was different and your brain gets all excited. And also it feels a bit gym bro-y, and I always get a kick out of that. But I tell you this, if you are struggling with your biceps, or you're looking for an exercise to kick them in the gear, and you're doing some kind of curl anyway, try it with a barbell. Thought it was wonderful. And number 5 is a nice and simple one. There is nothing wrong with assisted pull-ups. Now, this ties into a conversation I saw in the Fitness Palace I Love the other day. 2 people were doing pull-ups, and one guy was doing it without the assist, and the other guy wanted to use the assist. And his mate was all like, oh, bro, I can't believe you're doing that. What a wuss. And other words I will not repeat here because I don't want my video to get banned. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. One of the reasons that people don't like doing pull-ups anyway is because they're damn hard. Like, they're really hard. To be able to rep out 8 pull-ups takes a hell of a lot of energy and a hell of a lot of strength. And that's why the assisted pull-up exists. Now, your goal should be, to get 8 reps out, or whatever reps you want. 1 rep without using it. But before then, use it. Wouldn't it be awesome if every single piece of equipment had this built in? It's literally, well, the clue is in the name. It's giving you an assist. You don't need anybody else with you. You don't need to ask anybody else for help. You can say, I want to do 12 reps, and using the weight stack, you can find out the exact number you need to do so that when you're in rep 12, you're really struggling and you hit failure. You should never not be doing this. You really shouldn't. Pull-ups are just brilliant anyway, and they will build your back like no other exercise. I truly do mean that. But if you are put off by them and you know you can get a free helping hand, then you should absolutely do it. So there is nothing wrong with assisted pull-ups, and I'm doing them at the moment. I've only been back in the gym now around about 6 weeks, so my muscle memory hasn't kicked back in totally. So I thought, okay, well, I want to get back up to being able to do quite a few pull-ups, body weight, etc. But for now, I'll just use the assist because it lets me do more than I probably could have done otherwise, and you will absolutely smash your form. And then number 4 is using your phone. Now, there is an asterisk by this one, because if you're the guy that always goes to my gym on the leg press and sits there watching Netflix movies, I'm not going to lie, you've done it so much now, it's gone 180, and I kind of respect you. However, everybody else, that is not what your phone is for. And if you are going to use your phone that way, or you're going to be drawn to it in such a manner, you probably should use it leave it in your locker. However, it's 2022. If you are going to be doing an exercise on a bench, you're doing, I don't know, dumbbell rows, right? There you go, change my mind. You're doing dumbbell rows, blah, 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 blah. Back needs a little bit of a rest. If you're going to sit on that bench anyway doing this for 2 minutes, what difference does it make if you get out your phone and you write down what you just lifted? You update your schedule, you send a text message, you check your email. As long as you're not abusing what you're doing on the phone and you are just tying it into the same amount of time that you would be doing anyway, I do not see a problem with it. And Instagram especially, you still see all these posts going, oh man, you losers use their phone, you can't go to gym. Yes, you can. You can absolutely use your phone. I mean, you're probably running your music through there anyway, so why you would leave it anywhere else, I do not know. But if you are using it in the correct manner, that is a gym stereotype that is now dead. It's true. It's dead in 2022. 10 years or so ago, when they didn't do as much and they weren't smartphones, probably like 20 years ago, I totally understood it then because people were just wasting time. If you're not wasting time and you're actually utilizing your time, I know it's a rest set and I know you want to make sure that you stay mentally connected to the weights, but I have so much I have to do in my life. It is wonderful that I have these little periods where I can just catch up on stuff. And again, what am I going to be doing otherwise? I just want to run this into the ground, that. Number 3 is your post-workout meal or your mega shake. And this all ties into the anabolic window, which now everyone has changed, right? Again, 15 years ago, everyone was like, oh man, yeah, you got to have a high-carb protein drink or high-carb protein meal. Otherwise, your workout will be completely wasted. And I think if you want to do that, you should still do that, even though you don't need to. But it doesn't mean that you don't need a post-workout meal. This is something else that has happened. Now, you want to eat probably around about an hour to 90 minutes after you train. That's kind of not true, but you know what I'm saying here. You want to make sure you get your food in, although ultimately, as long as you get your calories in, you'll be fine. But there's always exceptions to the rule. If you are doing intermittent fasting and you break your fasting after you train, absolutely you should be taking advantage of the anabolic window because you've just trained with nothing in you. You're going to be exhausted. I would also say if you don't train with an intra-workout and you've eaten like 2 hours before the gym, so let's say you ate at 3, you got to the gym at 5 for whatever reason, and then you don't drink an intra-workout, which is just sort of like dextrin carbs, just sort of high GI carbs, etc. Then let's say you're an hour and a half there. That is a long-ass time when you haven't eaten. So as soon as you have trained, once again, yes, you should take advantage of your anabolic window. So once again, there is always ways where you should be doing this. Now, on the other hand, if you ate at 3:30 and you got to the gym at 4:30, and then you had an intra-workout shake and you only trained for 90 minutes, can you probably leave it another 90 minutes before you eat? Absolutely. And ultimately, as long as you're just trying to get in better shape, either of these two would be fine. But again, it's also black and white and there's no shades of grey. There has to be shades of grey here. Take into account what you're doing. Take into account your current situation. Actually look at your calories and think to yourself, well, I need to get this many in and I've eaten this much already. And then you can figure out whether you need something as soon as you finish training. I do it. I've told you this 1,000 times and I'll tell you again because I'm a pig. Like, I still make sure it fits my calories for the day and my carbs and my proteins and my fats, etc. But I love nothing more than coming home from the gym and eating, so that's what I do. In number 2 is wearing gloves. Now, I don't wear gloves. I find gloves a little bit uncomfortable. I think you can do better lifts, and I think it's just good to feel the steel in your hands. But there was an article online the other day that said, like, why you're a bleep if you wear gloves in the gym. That's like, maybe people don't want calluses. Maybe it gives people confidence. Maybe they just like the way that they look. You're absolutely allowed to wear gym gloves. Again, for me, I find them a little bit restrictive. But if they're your favorite thing in the world, are they hampering your workouts? No. And it's the same for number 1, using that little squat pillow thing. I don't know what it's called, but it's that round thing that you can strap around the squat bar and you can put it on your traps so that when you do a squat, it's not digging into your back. Now, once again, I like that digging into my back feeling. It gives me more control and it makes me feel like I'm in more control when I am doing the lift. But if you want that nice caress on your shoulders, you should. But again, I saw this in the gym. It was the same 2 people, actually. He wanted to use it and the other guy kind of chastised him for it. Like, what an absolute loser. What difference does it make? Again, I used to use it back in the day because I thought it would be a good thing, but then I actually found my squat was better without it. But some people don't like that feeling, and some people don't like the fact their traps feel a bit, well, tight, I suppose, afterwards. But it's there for a reason. It was invented for a reason. It is not a terrible thing. I can't believe the conversation they had. It is not a terrible thing that is going to ruin your gains. And I think this is a great takeaway when you do go to do any kind of training. Make sure you enjoy it. Like, you're not going to enjoy 100% of it because there's always exercises you're going to have to do that you don't like. But ultimately, make it a fun experience. Making it going to a restaurant, going to the cinema, going to a fun fair, where when you're on your way, you're like, oh man, I'm really giddy about this because I'm going to have a good time. If you turn your gym training into that sort of experience, you're going to be laughing. Now, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about all of this. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the bell down there. Sorry, notification crew. Then click the video that will be on the screen. Also, if you're into supplements that I absolutely am all for, it's GrillAndMine.com/Simon. Use code Simon, get 10% off. I'm also in Greg Doucette's Power 13 Cookbook. On Instagram and Twitter at Simon316. Come give me a follow. All my reaction videos are now exclusive to Patreon. Patreon.com/Simon316. No sort of high rate. It's just pay $1 and you'll get access to all of them. Also on Cameo, if you want a shout out, SimonMiller.BigCartel.com for merch. Otherwise, take care of yourself. Thank you so much for joining me. Goodbye.